Okay, can we go ahead and call tonight's board meeting to order, please? Ms. Laura, can you do roll call?
Yes. Member Boslett?
Here.
Member Ciaciola?
Yep.
Member Ford? Here. Member Lamb? Absent.
Oh, sorry.
Member Pretty?
Absent.
Thank you. Member Quelty?
Here.
And President Domi.
I am present. Thank you. Is there any information on closed session agenda items?
There were none.
All right. Oh, wait, sorry. I misspoke. Were there any public comments? I think I said information on closed session agenda items. My apologies.
There were none.
Thank you. As far as closed session goes, we're going to be talking about a special education settlement agreement, personnel listings, and then conference with labor negotiator. We'll go ahead and recess to closed session. Sorry. I'm going to go ahead and recall to open session. Can we go ahead and stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please? Salute. Pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, are there any requests for agenda reorganization? No? Okay. We do have one item to report out from closed session. In closed session, the board unanimously approved a special education settlement agreement and compromise and release agreement between the parents of a special education student, Yuba City Unified School District, and the Sutter County Superintendent of Schools. Student reports.
Good evening, board and audience. My name is Carmen, and I'm a student at Yuba City High School. This past month has been pretty simple for Yuba City High School. We haven't been doing a lot, and students are just focusing on getting back into school and doing good. But we had our Senate meeting on February 5th, and we got our financial report, which is freshmen have $102, sophomores have $1,447, juniors have $3,137, and seniors have $7,570. The juniors made a lot of money from our Yule Ball, which is a dance we had in January, and it was pretty good. The winter dances usually don't have that much people there, but this dance was pretty good. And then we have our class points going on. Freshmen have 722, sophomores have 1,618, juniors have 2,663, and the seniors have 3,225. And basically, you have to dress up on sport days and spin the wheel during break to earn class points and prizes. And the winning class gets free Kona Ice in May. And then some activities that have been taking place these past few weeks are prom committee, and we've been looking at themes, and I think we've decided that our theme is masquerade, and it's gonna have a Great Gatsby theme tied into it. And then our spirit days are still being decided by Senate and ASB. And then we had our first Friday activity last Friday, and it was bowling, and it was pretty fun. The PE teachers helped us set that up. And then our 8th grade parent night is coming up February 25th and 26th. Everybody's looking forward to that. And then we had a boys basketball game last Friday at YC against RV, and Yuba City High School won. It's really unexpected. And then today we had a Link Crew movie night at 4:30. They're trying to fundraise money. And then right now course selections are going on, so freshmen, sophomores, and juniors are looking at the classes they want to take next year. And yeah. And then we had our Squid Game rally. It was a massive success, and students participated, and we had guards, and everybody had fun. And then for the last few things, we had a karate tournament going on at RV on February 2nd. It was Melodic Karate Academy, and a lot of our YCASD helped set up, and they went to attend. And then lastly, our students for sports med have been working on their portfolios and trying to get those in. That's it. Thank you. Sorry, I'm a little taller. Good. Good evening to the school board and audience. We've been pretty busy at River Valley, so here are some updates. Let's start off with winter sports. Wrestling playoffs started on Saturday with league championships at Nevada Union. River Valley had 3 out of the 14 league champions. Congratulations to Colin De La Fuente, Safi Zia, and Blake De La Fuente. Most of the team will now compete at divisionals at Placer on Saturday. Girls basketball is also going to playoffs. Their senior night is tonight. Tomorrow, our boys' basketball is also going to playoffs, and tomorrow is their senior night alongside Winter Cheers. Girls soccer has also been doing great. They actually defeated YC last week for the first time since 2018, so we're happy to see their progress. Their last match of the season is at Placer on Tuesday. On to some school updates. Last Wednesday was our student council meeting during Falcon Hour. There, the various students and leaders at our campus got together to discuss events and make sure our student body is being heard and represented. The same day, on Wednesday, was our 4.0 pizza party that recognizes all of our students who had perfect grades. Last Friday was our Super Bowl day, where we had a Jersey-themed Spirit Day, and we held a barbecue in anticipation for the big game on Sunday. Jumping forward a week is this Friday, Valentine's Day, where we'll have another fun Spirit Day. If you wear red, you're in a relationship, black is single, and white means it's complicated. We'll have fun activities during lunch, and I myself, as senior class president, have been preparing Valentine's cards and goodie bags with treats to deliver to every single senior, just like in memory of how we used to get in elementary school. Friday is also the end of our progress period for the 3rd quarter, so students and teachers are getting ready for those last grades and assignments. Not only that, but Friday marks the last day before we all go on our week-long break, and I know we're very excited for that. Thank you so much, and have a great night.
Thank you. Reports and information. Just kidding, sorry, I jumped ahead. Sorry, staff recognition.
I'd like to introduce Director Rob Hope, who will introduce our employee recognition.
Good evening, Board of Trustees, staff in the audience, and audience members, friends. Tonight we're excited to recognize more exceptional district staff who shape our culture of excellence. We know recognition increases productivity, promotes retention, and encourages continuous improvement, all of which helps our students and helps us achieve our district mission statement of preparing the foundation for each student to build tomorrow's world. Tonight we have a presentation from our Director of Technology, Robert Cookman, who will be presenting the awards for 2 outstanding staff members of our district. Mr. Cookman.
Thank you, Rob.
All right. One's first. All right.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for hosting us tonight, Superintendent Asumi, cabinet members, and governing board. I would like to take the moment to thank Jasmine DeHoot. If you would come up here, please. I would like to recognize her for her amazing work that she's done in this district so far. And we'll see what else you got for us here coming up. I would just like to say, first I was sent an email by an employee that wanted to nominate one of my employees for recognition. The person that they wanted to recognize was Jasmine DeHoot. And they said of Jasmine, she is an incredibly prompt and always very kind and customer service oriented. I would just like to say that that is one of the qualities that I'm looking for in employees, and in our department, we want to be customer service oriented. And I would say that Jasmine embodies that 100%. She's knowledgeable. She's a joy to work with. She's professional, and she's improved every year that I've known her so far. And we're leading her through her career as she rises up through the ranks. So she was a tech when I first came here, and now she is a data system specialist. And perhaps, if tonight is so inclined, she might be promoted to another position. So hopefully that happens tonight. We'll see. I can't wait to see what else she does in her career and in her future. She has a bright future ahead of her in the IT world if she would so desire to continue down that track. But regardless, YCUSD is blessed to have her working here in this district, and I'd like to say thank you, Jasmine.
And can I get a picture of the two of you in this general?
Absolutely. This is yours here. Put this on here. I'm gonna...
You just check. There we go. Someone's teach me how to use one of these things.
Yeah, you got my good side. Thank
I
you.
did. Thank you.
So I have one more. In the same email, I had another person that they wanted to also nominate. So Jason Jenkins, Jason, let's come up here for a second, is one of our newest members of the team. If you do recognize his last name is Jenkins, and so I think at home, actually his father, who works in this district, Eric, is watching. He was unable to make it tonight, but he's one of the newest members of our team. He's really learned the system in the last year and a half or so. He's taken off in providing awesome customer service. He started to lead his team in multiple projects, not just over the summer, but throughout this year so far. He's also he was nominated again by one of our customers who said of Jason, he always responds quickly and can solve any question that's thrown at him. He's friendly and helpful, which is greatly appreciated. And I have to say that I second that nomination, and I second that also as well, that all those things that they say are true. You are one reason that Yuba City Unified IT Department is doing such a great job, and I'm happy to have you on the team. So congratulations. Here you go.
Thank you, well deserving.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Now we get into 11, which is reports and information. You guys are welcome to stay for this amazing report.
Real nail biter.
Okay.
Good.
Hey.
I wasn't trying to be sarcastic. I promise. My comedian today is certified. We didn't get to that point.
So this is not a very, very long report.
Just kidding. Take your time.
So in January, the governor, as we kind of think back to our budget cycle, in January the governor puts out what he wants to do with the budget, and there's a lot of kind of negotiation back and forth. In May, we get a better update after all that negotiation between the governor and all the legislators, and its budget's still not done in May, but that's when we have to make our budget, and then the budget's finalized in June. So we have a first glimpse of the budget, and there's not a ton to it, and that's being put in perspective because we've had a lot of state and federal COVID funds and a lot of one-time funds. We still have some one-time grants, but mostly from prior years. But this year's budget is a little more tame, I'd say, not as many moving parts. So these are so to kind of get educated on the budget and really what's going on. Me and the fiscal team, budget team, go down and listen to School Services of California. They're the premier expert when it comes to school business in the state of California. So I just have about 7 or 8 slides that I pulled from the 150 slides that they had that update, just to kind of give you some big picture concepts here. So, the California economy is always a little interesting. We are very dependent on, to be honest with you, the stock market, but personal income tax is where we get a big portion of our tax revenue. So that's kind of one of the things that we look at. And, things are on scale. we had a good year this year, and there's no really indications of a slowing at this point. But the current budget has $17 billion in surplus. It has healthy reserves, and the governor came with a balanced budget. We like to see that. So those are good things. A lot of other things on there I'll let you read, but those are kind of the highlights of this slide. So this is what I was getting to. This slide's a little hard to see from a distance, but I'll summarize it. Basically, it has three different bar graphs of the three bigs. The three bigs are the three big components of the revenue. And so sales and use tax is one. See if I can even read that. So we're expecting roughly $35 billion for next year. Corporate tax is the next biggest one, 37. And then personal income tax, that's the big one I was talking about. So we're expecting roughly 133 billion from that. So that's the makeup of the bulk of the revenues. There's three bar graphs on each of that because essentially we get, the governor comes up with their estimates of what the economy is going to do. There's an independent body, the legislative analyst office is kind of a checks and balance on the budget, and they come up with their projections as well. And then we have the enacted budget. That's the budget that was passed this last year. So when we see a big discrepancy between the governor and the legislative analyst office, that's a little troubling. They're fairly on target or coordinated in this. You see that, so the green bar is the governor's budget. The green bar's he's a little optimistic on each of these areas, but he's not too out of whack from an independent agency looking at the budget. So Proposition 98 is really kind of the proposition that protects school funding. There's guarantees for school funding. It's roughly 50. Yes.
I want to go back to the other slide.
Okay.
And that is that, so on your upper right-hand corner, okay, you have your corporation tax and you have your LAO and you have the governor's budget, but then you have your enacted budget, right? How can you have an enacted budget for 25-26?
Well, so
We're not there on
it's an enacted projection. So this is kind of what was, yeah. So that's
okay, but is the blue in 23, 24, 24, 25, is that actually enacted, or was that the projection at the time of the first budget cycle?
You know, that's a good question. I don't really have an answer to that off the top of my head.
I only ask good questions,
That is a good
Scott.
question. I will get back to you on that one. Yes.
All right.
It's one of the problems when you don't actually develop the slides. Sometimes you don't have all the info behind it. But I will get back to you on that.
Because it would be interesting to see, because we can't have a really enacted budget, right, yet for 25-26.
That's correct, right.
Okay, so it would be interesting to see who was more accurate, LAO or the governor.
That's a good point because, and we us budget nerds look at that a lot, and it's a little back and forth. I gotta be honest with you.
I hope you
In
always
my
are.
personal opinion, I think the legislative analyst is a little bit more accurate, but they're a little more conservative. And yes, but let me get back to you. The two more important ones are really the green and the orange. Those are what we rely on as far as the projections for next year. But I'll get back to you on the blue graph, kind of what makes up that piece.
Okay, just so we can see who has the better track record,
That's right.
so we know who to root for in the budget Super Bowl. All right, so I'm sorry.
It's okay. So Prop 98 is the protection for school funding. Approximately 55% of the state revenues go to schools. The bar to the right is 230 is really the projected for 25-26, $213 billion. Slight increase from last year of 206. Let's see here. Yeah, just so they're just kind of fewer risk in this budget than prior budgets. A little less uncertainty, but again, there's always uncertainty in California because we are so reliant on personal income tax, which is highly associated with the stock market, but fewer risks than past budgets. Less reliance on one-time funding. So that's a good time. One-time funding is always a challenge because you know it's hard. You can't really hire people, at least not long-term, with one-time funding.
And then it changes your ratios of what percentage of your budget you're actually spending on
People. Yep, exactly. That's a good point. So LCFF, local control funding formula, is the largest portion of our budget. There's a few different pieces to that, but basically the big, a couple important pieces of a lot of numbers here. But we get funded for different amounts for different age ranges: TK through 3, 4-6, grades 4-6, grades 7-8, and grades 9-12. So that's just the numbers behind all that. The new thing for this year is there's a requirement to go for transitional kindergarten classes to have a adult to student ratio of 1 adult to 20 students. Sorry, that's actually not correct. 1 teacher to 20 students, 2 adults to 20. So 2 adults to 20, but one of them obviously has to be a teacher. They're giving us some additional dollars for that, and that's what I highlighted at the bottom. It's basically $6,400 per TK attendance. And in your packet in front of you, I had another slide that shows what that impact is to Yuba City. I pulled that from this because there's some questions on what that calculation is. We're going to come back to you with that calculation. So I don't think what's in front of you in the printed version is accurate. So I pulled that from the presentation. So this is a graph to say what I've said in prior budget meetings. We get a per student cost of living adjustment, but our district and most districts in the state of California are actually declining attendance. So it doesn't translate to the revenue that we get. We get lower revenue than the percentage increase in cost of living. So that's kind of what those two bar graphs show in each year. And that is, on a state average, what the, increase to LCFF on per student basis was, but statewide school districts received less than that. And as I mentioned in the other slide, cost of living adjustment for per student is increase of 2.43%. I highlighted the CalPERS employer rate because that is just a continued pressure on our budget. That is also increasing from 27.05 to 27.4. So that's an additional, amount for, on classified payroll that we need to send to CalPERS for the pension system. That's all I have to share today.
One last question, or at least from my end.
Yeah.
Do you have, and you might have shown us before, so I apologize, but this graph where you have the LCFF, the real change, right? What the stated versus actual based on our declining enrollment. Do we have a like a historical average, like seeing the gap, for example, for 22-23, the augmentation was 13.26, but our actual in real dollars, right, based on declining enrollment, if I understood that correctly, was 12.35.
No, but that is actually a really good thought as far as a piece of data to bring to the board. I've talked about it individually, but not really like a trend on that. Yeah.
Because I would love to see that, like
Yeah.
what, and then, what it looks like average wise, just as one of the pieces of the pie.
Yeah. I get it. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, are there any comments from the public on items not on the agenda?
No, there's not.
Thank you. Consent agenda. Any motion?
I make a motion.
Approved.
Second.
On a motion by member Core, second by member Cianciola, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Member Lamb and member Pretty are absent.
Thank you.
Okay. action. Action 2025 ballot for CSBA delegate assembly.
Yes, so we, UBC Unified and you are a member of the California School Boards Association, and they have representatives for delegate assembly for Region 4, Sub-Region C, which is our region, and they did not receive any nominations. And so if the board so would like to vote or write in a name to be considered, this is your opportunity to nominate a board member from UBC Unified if you would like to. There's no obligation to do so.
I think previously Nicolo was a delegate from us, so is there anyone that wants to? I think we'll pass.
So no action is required.
Sounds great. Okay, B, anatomage.
Montage tables.
Look at that.
We're seeking the board's approval to purchase high-tech anatomatized interactive 3D visualization tables for the sports medicine programs at River Valley and UBC high schools. These are basically like 3D visualizations of human anatomy that are highly sophisticated. They're used at universities, they're used at medical facilities, and since the last 5 years, a lot of high schools are using them in their CTE pathways. So we have a Golden State Pathways Program grant that does support sports medicine, and we're seeking approval to purchase 2 of those tables, 1 for each high school.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
I know with any type of technology, there's always updates, and there's probably ways that, you know, every year there might be a refresh or whatnot. Is this like the latest and greatest?
Yeah, this is the latest and greatest. I've actually been through a training in my district through this. So with this does come training. So they have a trainer come out and they train the members how to use it, and then the teachers obviously train the kids on how to use it. It is highly sophisticated, but it's the most up-to-date medical technology in terms of learning outcomes for medical pathways.
Is there an option to have the students and the teachers like trained together, like have the trainers come in?
Yeah, they can have the trainers come in when the students are there.
Okay.
Yeah, so they can get
real
in
in the
the
moment
moment training.
issues or whatever.
Yeah, because the only thing on their contract is online training.
They can do the in-person training too. I've had them come before to do that.
Is the grant covering the entire cost of it?
Be really cool. When do we anticipate it coming in?
After tonight, we have to put in the requisition, so 4 to 6 weeks.
When do we get to see it?
Let's give that maybe a couple months just to, they're pretty high, tech.
Yeah.
But with sports medicine, you get to see really like the anatomy and muscles of sprains.
Not having a cadaver in front of you.
Yeah.
I'm picturing like Tony Stark building his suit. That's
Accurate.
Yeah.
And you guys would definitely have to come see these tables because
That'd be awesome.
it's very awesome.
Can you keep us posted on when it's up and running?
Absolutely, that'll be exciting.
Yeah.
Would be. Alright, can I get a motion if there's no more questions?
Make a motion to approve.
Second the motion.
Okay. Okay, a motion by member Ciacciola and a second by member Quilty. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. C, approval of contract for Gray Avenue Kitchen.
So we've talked about this project in the past, and so Chelsea Slattery, the director of student nutrition, sought a kitchen infrastructure grant. And after a lot of work going into to identify what's the best use of these funds, and talking to staff, it was determined that Gray Avenue Middle School really was the kitchen that was struggling operations-wise to feed all the students over there. Small, not inefficient, that type of stuff. So we've done a lot of work and planning to develop the scenario that fits closely to the grant amount, and this is the result of that. So this is a contract through a leaseback. I tried to give you a more extensive description of what this is because it's a little complicated. But essentially it does give us more control over the process, gives us a maximum price, but it's still a competitive process. And so we did receive 3 bids back on this. We are selecting the lowest bid here. And it has some contingencies built into that price too, just in case there are when there are project overrun costs. tends to be how that works. But we're excited to move forward with this project, and we're seeking approval on the contract here and the bid. Oh, sorry, the amount. The lowest bid is $1,416,000.
To United Builders.
To United Builders Contractors. We expect the grant to cover everything, but roughly $50,000 of the project.
I have a couple questions.
Sure.
One is, are there any renderings, like, of what this should look like or would look like?
There are architectural drawings of it, yes.
Okay, is that, when we do remodels like this in the future, is it possible to get those scanned in?
Maybe, I think so.
Just in the
I mean,
future?
they're just like huge. I don't know if they'll get into a format that we can all see.
But shouldn't they be a part of the contract anyway, right? Because how else are they bidding on it?
You know, you're right. It is. It's not necessarily part of the contract. It's part of the RFP, the documents they have to bid on. It'll probably reference the drawings in there, but not necessarily be part of it.
Okay, and then,
That's a good question on that.
the other question that I had is that, I know, I mean, obviously I don't know what the long-term master plan looks like for Gray Avenue. I worked there for 2 years, and I know that the current space is snug.
Yes.
You know?
So we had a separate gym built into the facilities master plan for Grave. So that would be more of a dining hall and a gym. That's what was in the master plan.
So does the remodel take into account the future?
Well, yes, in the sense that
Because I would hate to do like a $1.5 million, $4 million update, and then have to go back and then
so we're not tearing it down.
or make it bigger and better or whatever. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, why are we spending money if we're going to redo it again? Is that kind of what you're getting at?
Yeah.
Or- yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, first of all, again, until we make progress on that, the facilities master plan is a much longer term
Sure.
process. But the answer is that is still going to be a dining, area and a separate gym for sports and athletics. So the answer is no. We're not gonna. This is not.
I think that essentially what maybe a better way of explaining this is if we're going to spend 1.6 or 1.4, excuse me, on this particular design, does the design take into account what future use is going to be, or can we?
Yes.
So I think the
Do you know what I
thing,
mean?
yeah, so I understand the long term in terms of, we have a master facility plan for each of our schools. I think in this case, this is a grant that we're going to be using in order to update the kitchen, because it is snug, in order to make it better in terms of operational, in terms of the kitchen staff, and it's needed right now. And because of long term, it could take a while before we
Sure.
get to them. So I think it's, I don't know that it necessarily fits into the full design, but it will allow the operation of the kitchen to be more efficient.
Okay.
Is that fair?
Yeah, that's absolutely. Yeah, I think that is.
Anything for those ladies?
But it is snug.
It is a little bit. I think I hit myself on like the milk
I think
bridges a couple of times.
all of those things I think they're taking into consideration in
Yeah.
the design.
All right. Any other questions? No. Can I get a motion, please?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, on a motion by member Ciucciola and a second by member Bonslett. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. And then I do have a request for a comment on an agenda item that's not, a comment from the public on an item that's not on the agenda. They were just late arrival. So if it's okay with the board, can we take that comment now?
Yes.
Yeah, all right. So can I go ahead and recognize Fritz Jovaliana?
Havliana.
Havliana.
Thank you.
Sorry, I apologize. And then we just have a statement that we're gonna read before you go ahead and speak, and then we'll talk about time limits as well.
Items not appearing on the agenda, notice to the public. The Brown Act, specifically Government Code Section 54954.2, provides that no action or discussion shall be taken on any item unless it is adequately described in the timely posted agenda. Accordingly, though the public may comment on matters within the board's jurisdiction that do not appear on the agenda, the board cannot respond to such comments without running the risk of deliberating or initiating discussion on topics not properly before the board. Given the prohibitions set forth in the Brown Act and the risk associated with responding to public comments, the board does not respond to the community's questions or comments. The board will respect the rights of the public to express their viewpoints on matters within the board's jurisdiction. However, comments that are defamatory or that violate the privacy rights of any students or individuals may not be protected by law. The board shall not permit any disturbance or willful interruption of board meetings.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I appreciate you allowing me to address this board. I understand that I was late, and I apologize for that. But my name is Fritz Havliana. I'm a newly appointed judge here in Sutter County, and I'm here to provide some information about a really great program with the hopes that word will spread and more schools will participate. And the name of that program is Judges in the Classroom. It's a program that's been around for about a decade now, but only about half of the counties in the state participate. And I'm hoping that Sutter County and Yuba County will be participants moving forward. And how it works is that any interested educators from any school, grades K through 12, can go to the website. If you Google Judges in the Classroom, you'll be able to find a list of different lesson plans involving a lot of different legal issues such as constitutional rights, a mock trial, criminal procedure, and what have you. And so any teachers are welcome to come to the website, submit a request, and then that request will make its way to the local courthouses, and then judges will be invited to come to the school and deliver different lessons. And so I'm hoping that you could please pass this information along to any educators in the area that would be interested. I did print off the website. I don't know if I can leave that with someone, and if you look through it, you can see the different topics that can be covered by judges. And again, I'm hoping that this is something that can really take off here in Sutter County.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate it. Have a great night.
You too.
Thank you.
All right. Board reports, information, or discussion?
I attended the Yuba City Charter School board meeting. It was rescheduled to last night, so I went to a board meeting last night. And they had to give away all their chickens because of the bird flu. They can't show their chickens at the fair, so that was kind of sad. They're going to, some of the students are going to show rabbits this year instead of the chickens, so that was kind of a sad thing. No eggs, because I was told to get some eggs, and they don't have any eggs anymore. But anyway, that was a sad part. They're very active in FFA, and which is wonderful. And they've gone to some of the recent conferences and stuff, so that was really cool. Yep. And I already talked to Doreen about something. Yeah.
Awesome. And then we have our government liaison meeting on Thursday at 3. 3 o'clock. I don't think we've gone through committees or anything like that since member bonds left.
No, and we should do that. So I will bring to the next meeting the committee signups.
Okay, sounds good. If anybody wants to switch or stay or join, we can do that.
Could you explain a little bit more?
So there's different committees. I'm on the graduation committee and also the government liaison committee. And depending on the committee, we discuss things that fall within that umbrella. So the government liaison meeting, Superintendent Asumi is there, then we have city members, and then we have county members as well that attend, and so it's kind of like a platform for us to advocate and tell them what's going on within our school district. They tell us what's going on in the community, if there's new development, things to anticipate. We're getting a lot of construction happening with Terra Buena and Butte Vista, and so Superintendent Asumi can then take a look and see how many families are we anticipating in those areas and the influx to the schools. Or if there's anything that we've heard from the community about like safety concerns and whatnot, that's a perfect platform to be able to share that. The graduation committee, I know we haven't met for the graduation committee in a little while actually. Yeah, just with like graduation requirements, if there's any proposals to update or anything like that.
Mhm.
But there's different committees and we can get a list and see if
Okay.
anybody wants to adjust, and depending on the committee, some meet more frequently than others. Okay, thank you. You're welcome. Communications from public? None?
There were not any.
Thank you. Comments from employee representatives?
Good evening, board members, staff, and anybody in the audience. I'm Dina Lukens, president of the Yuba City Teachers Association. Tonight I'd like to talk about priorities. Your ending fund balance, according to the first interim, is the undesignated ending fund balance. There's a much bigger ending fund balance, but your undesignated ending fund balance is currently sitting at $13 million. Those are today's dollars that we hope the district will spend on today's kids. Those budget priorities should reflect what we're all here to do and educate our students for a better tomorrow. We will be engaged in negotiations with the district on the Thursday following our upcoming break. YCTA will bring proposed language for safety. Protecting the safety of staff and students are one of our highest priorities. We'll bring priorities about class size. We all know that class size does matter. We'll bring some proposals about hours, and then finally we'll bring our proposal about salaries and compensation. As we prepared that proposal, we reflected on numbers such as this year's 1.0% COLA, next year's 2.43% COLA. We also reflected on the increasing number of vacancies, the impacts and effects of those vacancies. You heard from our speech and language pathologists at your last meeting as they shared with you the job and the impacts of the severe shortage. You'll hear from others who will talk to you about the impacts of those unfilled vacancies, as well as the vacancies that are filled by folks working beyond 100%. And along those lines, as I talk about how we attract and retain educators to Yuba City, I decided tonight's story should be me. So I want to tell you about me. I came to Yuba City in 1990 as an 8th grade science teacher at Andros Carperos Middle School. That's what we were called back in 1990. It was the second year of Andros Carperos. It was the first year of our 8th grade class, and I got to usher in the first 8th grade class at AK with 2 of my colleagues who are no longer with Yuba City Unified. In 1991, that was in the spring of my first year teaching in Yuba City, I made the decision to move to Yuba City. I made that decision based on a couple of scenarios. One was that the cost of housing here was a little cheaper than down in Sacramento. And I'd driven to the north side of the Buttes out to a very good friend, the Cordys, and fell in love with it. So here I am in Yuba City. My starting salary in Yuba City on step 1 was $28,000 back in 1991. I bought my home for $99,500. I could afford that as a single parent on my salary. Okay, I admit it was a little tight, but I could make it work. So why did I tell this story tonight? Because this week, down the block from my house, a smaller home, a 3-2 as opposed to my 4-2, has an asking price of $429,000. So my home has, the cost of a home in my neighborhood has gone up more than 4 times. The starting salary on step 1 now, if I were to join Yuba City Unified, is $56,000. Twice my starting salary, but buying a home is 4 times what I started my salary at a long time ago. We need to do something to attract and retain great educators to come to Yuba City. We need to make sure that our salary allows them to afford to live in our community, to buy homes in our community, and to become members of our community. I was not a born and raised in Yuba City kid, but instead I was somebody who came and made this my home and made this my community. And we need other educators to both stay in Yuba City and come to live in Yuba City. That cost of housing isn't even begin to tell the story because it doesn't address the cost of eggs and the cost of gas. This is a people business, and we need to make sure that our priorities reflect it's a people business. We need to make sure we take care of the people that are taking care of our kids, the people that are building our community. I urge you to continue to look at the numbers. Thank you.
Ms. Becky, are you talking for CSEA?
Sure.
Okay. Sorry, didn't mean to put you on the spot.
Good evening, board members. My name is Peggy Costa, and I'm vice president of our chapter 265 CSCA. I'm reporting this from Mercedes, our president. She's out of town on a little trip. So we're making progress with our negotiations and working very hard on our job description task force. We have another meeting coming up pretty soon. I want to congratulate the staff that were given awards tonight. And I know that most of us are looking forward to the break. Some of us will still be working, but the rest of them will hopefully enjoy their time off. So thank you very much and have a good evening.
Thank you. Any comments from board members? I do have a comment. I have a request. And this is with regards to the sub-pay. I'm hoping at a future board meeting, either the next one or whenever we're able to squeeze it in, that we can get a report. I know there have been questions about the turnaround time for sub-pay, and so if we can just get a report on what the current system is, like what our process is to getting that paid out or going through the county or whatever the process may be, and if there's any way to make adjustments to make it more efficient, essentially. But if we can get a report on that. Thank you. That's the only thing I have. Comments from superintendent?
Yes, I just want to know if the board would like to, Bob King from CSBA, who worked with the board last year, and I think the prior year before that. We have a new board member with Fairly Lovelet, and if you'd like to do a governance training workshop with him, it's one of the things that's in your board bylaws regarding governance training. If you'd like to do that with CSB again, and then also I think Bob also facilitated the board self-review, so you're coming upon your move for the board self-review in the next few months. So would you like him to come in and do a meeting with just some governance and the board evaluation, and then go through that process with you all again?
It's the pleasure of the board.
I think we should.
I would like it.
It's also just a refresher for us.
If possible, is there any way to do both in one instead of multiple meetings?
Yes.
Okay.
I think it would be a one-time meeting, a meeting,
And then,
and then it would be the board self-evaluation would be done electronically with communicated and
How long would the meeting be?
Couple hours.
yeah, it's usually a couple hours.
Cause I remember last time it was like ridiculously long.
Yeah, and so it could be, and I can ask him that, is maybe spend an hour and a half on governance and then a half an hour on the setting up the board evaluation process, and then working with you outside as he did before. Would that work for you all?
Yeah, but if we're gonna use the same tool that we did for the self-evaluation for us, then maybe we can do that ahead of the meeting and then discuss if there needs to be.
The results and action plans therein.
Yes.
Yes, okay, I think that would be more productive.
Okay.
And the governance training would be great. Of course, I know I'm speaking out of turn, Ms. Marley, I'm so sorry. But if he goes over that governance PowerPoint cycle thing, it's like every single time we do that, and it seems like a disproportionate time spent retreading that color graph would be great if,
Well, we've also worked with Diane Kitamura, who was a former superintendent.
Oh, no, I mean, it's not a personal thing.
Okay.
But I think
there's
what
two
happens,
processes.
right, they both do, and then it's these CSBA, they train all their people. Now listen, we're gonna go over this graph for an hour and a half, and we're all gonna talk about it. And I'm a little bit more, but I get especially for new people, the 30,000 foot view, I totally get that, but we need more practicum.
And if you remember,
Practical.
we also worked with Diane from F3, and what Diane did was also work with us on our governance handbook and then updating those things. And so it really will be what's the pleasure of the board that you might want to do. But you do need, by your bylaws, a self-evaluation, so. But I could ask him to maybe do that up front, and then you guys would have an opportunity at the session to talk about the self-evaluation, develop an action plan, and from that lead into next steps. Okay, let me talk with him about some alternatives and I'll get back to you.
I just want to emphasize, this isn't a personal thing.
No,
It's
what
not-
yours is saying is can be redundant.
It can be, yeah, and,
Better use of time.
and, yeah, not that, like, it's not good to always retread the fundamentals and that
Right.
sort of thing, but the disproportionate time spent doing that as opposed to, like, for example, when Diane did it, I remember we talked a lot about parliamentary procedure because we don't use Robert's rules, and kind of going over, like, what's the flow, because although a night like tonight, you know, there's not interruptions, but if and when there is a more heated, that way we are all on the same page as what the procedure is, what you can do, what you can't do, so that nobody sees like favoritism or.
Well, and that's why I
You know.
bring up her name as well, because of the fact that you're right. Bob is trained by CSB, he's a trainer, and so his work with governance is probably something you've seen at the CSB conferences. Diane was a little bit more customized in terms of more practical governance.
Yeah.
And we can maybe talk to him or whoever the presenter is going to be about what the agenda is going to be, and then maybe we can share that out with the board, and then if they feel like they wanna have more of an emphasis on one item than other, then that way he knows that for this particular item, this is what the board would like more emphasis on.
So perhaps you and I can chat further and then we can make some decisions and then.
Sounds good.
Based on board feedback.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Sounds good.
Thank you. Okay, next boarding, sorry. The next
Board
meeting is February 25th. The open session is at 7 p.m. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Okay, on a motion by member Ciola and a second by member Quilty, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Thank you.